the reason Donald Trump had to resort to these tariffs and sanctions and punishments today is because the president of Colombia refused to accept a flight of migrants. He said he wouldn't take them. Donald Trump said, we're going to enter the F around and find out portion of this conversation. And he hit him with sanctions and tariffs. And now tonight, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says Congress is going to back him up on that. He's putting Colombia, he's putting the rest of this hemisphere on notice that you are not dealing with the same president that you were. You're dealing with someone who is taking illegal immigration seriously. Now, within an hour of making that threat, the president of Colombia said, whoa, 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 I'll send my own plane to pick these people up. So obviously, he got their attention.
So Trump is not messing around, guys, when it comes to dealing with these Latin American countries on the issues of deportations and mass migration. In fact, a brand new foreign policy slogan has been announced tonight by the Trump administration for Latin American foreign policy. And as you can see right here, it is FAFO. That's right. And you can conclude for yourself what that acronym stands for. But that is exactly what the president of Colombia found out tonight, right? FAFO, after he and many other of these Latin American countries have basically been trying to resist the mass deportations that have begun under the Trump administration by turning away the flights, right? Essentially, what will happen is the Trump admin, beginning the deportations, puts the migrants on these flights, sends them back to the home countries where they're actually citizens. And for instance, the nation of Colombia was refusing to take any of the illegal immigrants back into their country. They're saying, your plane cannot land right here, right? Which I want to really quickly point out here for our left-wing friends is very interesting, right? Because I was told that illegal immigration was a strength for America, right? And, it's bringing such positive things to our country, to which I say, if that's really true, then why won't these nations take back their own migrants and, in fact, their own citizens? I mean, after all, think about the economic gains. Think about the cultural enrichment that it's all bringing to their countries. I just want to point that out, right? If it's such a great thing for a society to have a bunch of these illegal immigrants, then why won't the countries where they are actually citizens and they actually came from take them back? Just an open question. Feel free to try to rebut that in the comment section down below. But I think everyone really does know the truth. With that said, guys, we'll give you this full story in a second, because essentially the Colombian president tried to pull a political stunt. Trump threatened mass sanctions on him, and apparently while he was golfing, allegedly put out that FAFO post. And then next thing you know, apparently now Colombia will be taking their own migrants back. We'll give you the full story. First, do us a big favor. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe if you are new. You subscribing is the #1 way to ensure we can keep bringing you these stories. It's greatly appreciated. Hit that red button. And with that said, okay, so let's start this whole timeline from the beginning, because essentially what happened here is, again, in the beginning, apparently Colombia was refusing U.S. migrant deportation flights. And here was what Colombian President Gustavo Petro said. So he said he will not allow U.S. planes carrying any deported migrants to land in Colombia. Petro said, and I quote, "A migrant is not a criminal and must be treated with the dignity that a human being deserves. That's why I turned back the U.S. military planes that were carrying Colombian migrants. I cannot allow migrants to remain in a country that does not want them, but if that country sends them back, it must be with dignity and respect for them and for our country." First of all, what? Okay, I want to remind the president of Colombia, these are your citizens. What on earth are you talking about? You're the one not treating your own dignity and respect, because you're not even allowing your own citizens to return to your country. What the heck does that even mean? He goes on here to say, we will receive our fellow citizens on civilian planes without treating them like criminals. Colombia is respected. So again, I have no clue what this clown, apparently he's like this far left socialist, yeah, go figure, even means by that. Okay, if you're not going to treat them like criminals, why don't you take them back? Again, they're your citizens. We don't care what you do with them. They're your citizens, but you're turning away your own people on these planes and claiming it's somehow some type of ethical thing to do. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. But, this was this morning and a lot of other countries, but mainly Colombia, some other countries were talking about doing the same thing here. So how did Trump respond? Well, he went out and said, because this is very interesting, this is worth noting, I think a lot of the rest of the world for a very long time is used to America kind of carrying the big stick, like saying they're going to do things, but not actually following through. So he probably thought, this is just a political stunt by Trump. He's not serious about deportations. It's just to like kind of show red meat to his supporters or look tough or something. Surely he's not actually going to retaliate if we turn away our own citizens, right? Here's what Trump, however, went out to say in response. So he says, I was just informed that 2 repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia. This order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Gustavo Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Petro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security and public safety of the U.S. So I have directed my administration to immediately take the following urgent, decisive, retaliatory measures. Number 1, emergency 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S. In 1 week, if he doesn't take the migrants back, the tariffs will be raised to 50%. Number 2, a travel ban and all immediate visa revocations on the Colombian government officials and all allies and supporters. Number 3, visa sanctions on all party members, family members, and supporters of the Colombian government. Number 4, enhanced customs and border protection inspections of all Colombian nationals and cargo on national security grounds. And lastly here, the treasury, banking, and financial sanctions all to be fully imposed. These measures are just the beginning. We will not allow the Colombian government to violate its legal obligations with regard to the acceptance and return of the criminals that they forced into the United States. So, very quickly here, right? The Colombian president is finding out that the deportation agenda is not just something performative. It might be for, again, past U.S. politicians. That was very common, this sort of just like act tough, but hey, you can F around all you want, but you're never going to find out. No, Trump is different, okay? And we're very serious about this. And finally, right, here's the thing about America. Is for, again, my entire life here, I have watched as our sort of like tough guy act is just used in the most like nonsense places. It's like, oh, we're going to be super tough in Ukraine or the Middle East or all these areas that actually have like no impact on the regular American's life. But finally, within our own hemisphere, we are saying, no, we have an illegal immigration problem in our own country. The countries nearby to us are facilitating this issue. It's very interesting. I remember being in college and having these debates about it. It's like, what is America's #1 foreign adversary? And some people would say Russia or China or Iran. And I'm like, well, how could you not view what's happening at our southern border and say that the nations on our border are not our biggest adversaries? That is literally the thing causing the most direct harm to the United States. It's literally an invasion. And nobody even talks about these countries like they are actually acting like adversaries, which they are. Any country who's facilitating a literal invasion of the U.S. is an enemy to this country. Okay, and they don't have to be like that forever, but yeah, immediately, like, we have to be tough with these people. You keep allowing this, we're going to treat you like a foreign adversary. We're going to treat you like a freaking pariah state, because at that point, that's exactly what you are to the United States. So with that said, guys, let's ask the question, how do you think Colombia has responded to this? Okay. Do you think that they're, still standing firm? Yes, we're going to protect the rights of illegal immigrants. Nope. Literally within hours of the Colombian president doing this whole tough guy act, I can officially report to you, and again, this is on the same day, okay? This is literally hours apart right now. Colombian President Petro was just forced to repost a press release from the White House saying that he caved to Trump. That is right, guys. Immediately, within a couple of hours of Trump's threats on the nation of Colombia, the president has capitulated and said now he will indeed be taking those migrants, his own citizens, into his own country. As a matter of fact, apparently, after President Trump slammed Colombia with sanctions, Colombian President Gustavo Petro now says he will be sending the presidential plane. So he went from he's not going to take any planes in he's going to send his own personal plane to help pick up the deported migrants from the U.S., according to CNN. And as you can see right here, so this is the press release on it. Statement from the press secretary of the White House of the United States. The government of Colombia has agreed to all of President Trump's terms. In a couple hours. It's so hilarious, including the unrestricted acceptance. Unrestricted now, right? He went from no acceptance to unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States, including on U.S. military aircraft, without limitation or delay. Based on this agreement, the fully drafted tariffs and sanctions will be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement. The visa sanctions issued by the State Department and enhanced inspections from Customs and Border Patrol will remain in effect until the first plane load of Colombian deportees is officially returned. Today's events make clear to the world that America is respected again. President Trump will continue to fiercely protect our nation's sovereignty, and he expects all other nations of the world to fully cooperate in accepting the deportation of their citizens illegally present in the United States. There you go. There you go. Now, I do have to say, to this president of Colombia, you know, I would honestly go out and argue that maybe we should just implement the sanctions anyway, because he is such a ridiculous clown. Like, to think, okay, you know why he deserves sanctions? Because he thought we were playing. He really thought we were joking around, and we should show him, okay? I'm honestly infuriated at this guy for really thinking, like, and now that I look at the whole timeline, how he was never serious, and the moment we actually threatened him, it's like, oh no, what did you think we were joking? Did you think we were joking about deportations being serious this whole time? Just saying. Okay, but anyways, here was Scott Jennings on CNN in talking about this in response, and frankly, I could not agree more. This is exactly how I feel about the situation as well.
I don't think there's actually going to be any tariff war between the United States and Colombia, because as long as they come get their people, I doubt Donald Trump's going to end up tariffing them, and they won't tariff us. And they'll have learned a valuable lesson that Donald Trump is taking illegal immigration, seriously. This is real leadership, but it sends a message to everybody else in the hemisphere. Do not test us. This is not Biden and Harris. This is Trump and Vance. We mean business.
Yeah, 100%. I have no idea who they thought they were dealing with, but let's make it clear to the whole world right now, just so you know, this is not Joe Biden you are dealing with anymore. Now, with that said, so obviously the president of Colombia just made himself look like a fool. And guys, I would not be surprised if, much like the whole Justin Trudeau situation, his popularity massively tanks in response to this, because you cannot look like more of an idiot than what he did just now, okay? Because, you know, it'd be one thing if, like, it was this drawn out kind of battle back and forth, and eventually they reach an agreement. No. You act so freaking tough one day, and within the span of a few hours, you go from, we're never going to allow this to happen, to, I'm going to allow this to happen, and I'll even bring my own presidential plane to help ensure that it happens. It's just insane. But apparently, guys, ever since that, the president of Honduras has just called an emergency meeting of all the Latin and Caribbean countries to figure out how to cope with President Trump after Colombia's tactics completely backfired. And apparently an inside official told this guy, George Bahisi tweets here, that it was called by instruction of the Colombian president using Honduras. Gustavo Petro is so scared of Trump that he doesn't even want his name to be seen on it. One Truth Social post from Trump literally is all it took. The number one thing on the meeting agenda is migration, aka Trump. My source says they will show their true colors. All that talk was for internet clicks. They are scared little puppies. Well, I'm going to assume that's the case. However, I do want to point out here that, you know, I think they're just kind of trying to bluff. Like they understand that they're never going to be able to beat the United States at this. But take a look at this. Apparently, the president of Honduras is trying to copy the tactics of the president of Colombia, at least verbally, to which I say, okay, have fun with that. Would you like the sanctions, Honduras? I don't know, but here's what she is saying.
Pueblo hondureño, quiero manifestar que esperamos que la nueva administración norteamericana del presidente electo democráticamente, Donald Trump, sea abierta al diálogo, constructivo y amistoso. Que no tome represalias innecesarias contra nuestros migrantes frente a una actitud hostil de expulsión masiva de nuestros hermanos Tendríamos que considerar un cambio en nuestras políticas de cooperación con Estados Unidos, especialmente en el campo militar, en el que sin pagar un centavo por décadas mantienen bases militares en nuestro territorio, que en este caso perderían toda la razón de existir en.
Okay, so would you like some sanctions, Madam President? Would you enjoy some tariffs? Because you literally just saw what happened to Colombia and you're trying the same thing. I was just like, it's crazy. It's like, oh, freaking, do we have to just keep, how many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Okay, just saying. But no, seriously, I want to bring up once again here that these are their own citizens. Okay, all this talk about how, oh my God, this is so cruel. Our nations will not be able to handle this. These are your people. And let's be clear. These are illegal immigrants. We're not talking about people who are of Honduran or Colombian descent that were just, were born in the United States, they're citizens, but we're just forcing them to go to those countries. That's obviously not what's happening. We're literally sending people here who were born in Honduras or Colombia or wherever in these countries. They grew up in many cases in these countries. Now we're sending them back to the countries where they literally came from. They're literally a byproduct of these countries and their societies. And these people are saying, no, we can't accept our own citizens back into our own countries. How dare it honestly goes to show you guys the way in which so many of these Latin American countries view the United States. You know, we're not even really a country to them for a very long time, at least, you know, in past precedent. It's like we're basically just this open economic zone for, you know, people to just send, you know, other people to, right? For countries to just send their random citizens to illegally, doesn't matter, whatever, and then, you know, just go use it for economics. And in some cases, as Trump brings up, kind of get rid of the criminals and delinquents that we don't want in our society, just dump them onto the United States. And even in the cases where that doesn't happen, oh, just send people and they'll send, you know, remittances back to our countries and make us wealthy. And essentially, America's just this like sinking vessel that everyone can just loot and like just profit off of and nobody really cares. And that's how they view us. Okay, that's how they view our country. Evident by the fact that this woman right here is complaining about the fact that her own citizens are coming back to her own country. Again, I want to say to my left-wing friends, shouldn't that be celebrated as a good thing for the economic and social development of Colombia and Honduras? If, you know, you know what I'm saying, right? But no, the point is what? It's done. It stops now, okay? America's not going to be allowing this type of crap to happen anymore. You'll love to see it. And I think I'm going to take a wild guess, guys. In the end, the Latin American countries are going to find out they need the United States to be on friendly terms with them a lot more than we need them. Okay, just saying, just saying. We're not playing around. You're going to take back your people. And, you know, finally, right, kind of you could call it hawkishness, aggressiveness, is finally being applied in our own hemisphere to defend our own country instead of just like places across the ocean, thousands of miles away. With that said, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.